Good morning children. Welcome back to chemistry class. Today with another topic and very interesting one, that is how to write down the chemical formulae. If you are clear with the previous video which I sent you, which was regarding the ions, then it becomes very convenient and very easy to understand this particular topic which I am going to take today, and that is writing the chemical formulae. The first question which must arise in your mind, what are chemical formulae? So if this word is new to you, chemical formulae, so you should know the meaning of this one. Chemical formula is the symbolic representation of a compound which shows the proportion of the atoms which are present, or you can say the proportion of the elements which are present in that particular formula. What does it mean? If I say the formula of a particular compound is H2O, so it is letting you know that the two atoms of hydrogen are combining with one atom of oxygen. So you know the ratio is 2:1. So chemical formula always tells us about the definite proportion of the elements present in that particular compound. And it has always been represented with the help of symbols. Now you know the symbols, these are the short way of representing an element. Sodium Na, then magnesium is Mg, and so many are there, and you have learned many of them. Now once we have to start with writing the chemical formulae, then through the concept of ions I introduce two terms. One are the cations and another ones are the cations and anions. Then I told you these are the positively charged and these are the negatively charged. Now these cations and anions are going to participate in the formation of the chemical compounds. Okay, and moreover, you know one more thing also, that the compounds which we talked till now are of two types. One are the ionic and second one are the covalent bonded. Ionic where the ions were included, and covalent bonded where no charges were present. So I'll let you know how to write down the chemical formulae of these particular compounds. So let's first talk about the ionic compounds wherein the charges have been included. For writing down these chemical compounds or the chemical formulae, valencies are taken into consideration. Okay. Now I am introducing a new word, valency here. Now what is valency? This is the combining capacity of an atom. Okay. Now this is a simple definition you can very easily learn. But what is the basic meaning or the literal meaning of this particular word or this definition? Combining capacity. That means how many electrons can be lost or gained or shared by an atom. Okay, that is known as the combining capacity of that particular atom, or we can call that the valency of an atom. As I gave you the examples in the last video where I told you that sodium is having the valency of +1. It is having the valency of 1, but plus is telling you about the charge. That means the domination of the protons was taking place in that particular atom. So if I have written Na with plus charge, that means the valency of the sodium is 1. That means it is monovalent. In the similar way, I gave you that oxygen is having the valency of 2 because it was gaining 2 electrons and it was divalent, which I showed you in the last video. Then if I take the example of aluminium is having the valency of 3 positive. Positive charge is telling about the domination of the protons in that particular ion, and 3 means 3 protons are dominating, so the combining capacity of this aluminium is 3. That means 3 electrons can very easily be lost by this aluminium. So whichever charges are being mentioned on the ion, that tells about the valency of that particular atom, or you can say that particular element, because all the atoms of that element are identical in all aspects, so all of them will be carrying the same valency. So once you know about the symbols and then the valencies of the atom, then to write down the chemical formula, that becomes very convenient. Now how to go ahead for this one? Let me give you one example, or let me tell you the steps to be followed. So in that case, first of all, to know the symbol and the valency, you have to write down a cation. Okay, let's take the example of Na+. Okay, then you will be taking an anion. Let's say we have taken chloride. Okay, chloride I have taken. So the valency of sodium cation is Na+, and anion chloride is having NaCl-. That means valency of both the ions is 1. First step, we have to write down the ions, but the cation should be towards the left side and anion should be towards the right side. Okay, once this step is over, the next step is whichever valencies have been written, okay, those have to be crisscrossed. That means the valency of the sodium should go towards the valency of the chloride, that's 2 in the subscript form. Then valency of the chlorine, here chloride ion, it's also having the valency of 1, its valency should shift to the left side. Okay, because both the valencies are same, okay, that means total positive and the total negative charges are equal. It should be kept in mind that the total positive and total negative charge while forming a formula should be equal. That I will tell you further how it happens automatically. Then what happens? You have to write down Na1Cl1. Okay, this Na1 and Cl1. That means in the formation of this particular compound, that is sodium chloride. Okay, 1 atom of sodium and 1 atom of chlorine that is participating. Because 1 have 1 we need not to write. Because if nothing is written, it is very much clear that it is 1. So 1 atom of sodium and 1 atom of chlorine are participating in the formation of this particular formula. This is the case when the valencies were same. Both of them were monovalent. What if they are carrying unequal valencies? Okay, let's take another example of magnesium chloride. Okay, or let's not take this chloride, go ahead with magnesium nitride. Okay, magnesium symbol is Mg and it's carrying a valency of +2. Okay, nitride is N symbol and the valency is 3 with a negative charge. Okay, so the second step here also I have written cation on the left side and an ion on the right side. So let's crisscross the valencies. In that way, what will come under this magnesium? That is going to be 3. And what is going to be under this nitrogen? That is going to be 2. Now these two things have to be written in the subscript form along with the symbols which have been mentioned. So magnesium will be written as 3, nitrogen as this. So that means in the formation of this compound, 3 atoms of magnesium and 2 atoms of nitrogen are participating, so that the compound which has been formed is neutral compound. Now you try to understand how. Now this 3 means, that means 3 atoms of magnesium, and or you can say 3 atoms of magnesium, and they were also in the form of ions. So overall charge is 1 magnesium ion is carrying the charge of +2 and 3 will be carrying the charge of +6. In the similar way, 1 nitride ion is carrying the charge of -3 and 2 will be carrying the charge of -6. That means total positive and total negative charges are equal. So finally the compound which has been formed under this process, or under this the process which has been followed, the compound is neutral compound. Total positive and negative charges are equal. In these compounds, if you are observing them carefully, you will be finding that I have taken those ions which are monoatomic. Here chloride, 1 atom, sodium, 1 atom, magnesium, 1 atom, nitride, 1 atom. Now I am taking you to another compound where the polyatomic ions are included. What are polyatomic ions? Where a group of atoms is carrying the charge. Like we took hydroxide, then we are having sulfate, then you can take nitrate, then you can take this hydrogen carbonate. So there are many examples which you can take into consideration. Now I want to tell you how to go for the formation of the compound with the help of these polyatomic ions. Let's say I am having a compound which is sodium sulfate. Okay, so sodium will definitely be coming in the form of cation. So sodium is having the valency of +1. And sulfate is SO4. From here I am writing it is with 2 negative charge. Okay. Now this is polyatomic and this is monoatomic. Now shift this charge to this side and this charge to this side. That means valency 1 written under sulfate and valency 2 of this sulfate is written under this sodium ion. Now write down them in the form of subscript. That means sodium Na2 now and SO4. Because 1 is written here, so we have mentioned SO4. Otherwise, if the valency after the crisscross coming, the number which is coming after the crossing is more than 2. And here we are having the polyatomic ion, then the polyatomic ion has to be taken into bracket. Let me take another example. So the formula of sodium sulfate is Na2SO4. But if I say I have taken magnesium phosphate. Okay, so magnesium is Mg and it is carrying the charge of +2. Or you can say the valency is 2. And phosphate is PO4 with -3. That means valency of the phosphate is 3. So this 3 is going to come underneath this magnesium and this magnesium's valency is going to be this side under phosphate after the crisscross method. Now then, how will we writing? That means magnesium atoms which are going to participate in the formation of magnesium phosphate is 3. Okay, and what about phosphate? If it is PO4 and 2 is written here, and if you will be writing 2 here, then this oxygen is going to be 42. But in the formation of phosphate radical, this polyatomic radical, only 4 atoms of oxygen are participating. If it is going to be 42, that means it is not possible. That means 1 atom with 42 atoms of oxygen, that is not going to be possible. So what we have to do in this case, when the valency here after the crisscross is coming is, or the number which is coming here is more than 1. Then this polyatomic ion has to be kept in bracket and 2 has to be written in the form of subscript. That means in the formation of this magnesium phosphate, 3 atoms or 3 ions of magnesium participated and 2 of the phosphate, and finally a neutral compound has been formed. Now look, 3 2s are 6 and 2 3s are 6. 3 positive and 6 positive and 6 negatives are participating in the formation of this compound. Overall charges positive and negative are equal, so neutral compound is in your hand. So what I told you, first part should be always cation and second should be always anion. After the crisscross, those valencies which are coming after the exchange, they have to be written in the subscript form. If those are same, here we have written 1 and 1, you need not to write down 1 and 1. Suppose they are 2 and 2, like in case of magnesium oxide. Okay, magnesium is 2 plus, oxide is 2 minus. So magnesium, after this, magnesium valency is going to be at the foot of this one and oxide's valency is going to be at the foot of magnesium. So both are 2 2. So you will be writing Mg2O2. But this is not right. Because if these 2 numbers which are coming in the form of subscript at the foot of cation and anion, okay, then you need not to mention. So it will be simply written as magnesium oxide, that is MgO. That means in the formation of this particular compound, one atom of magnesium and one atom of oxygen are participating. Undoubtedly the charges are present inside, but the total positive and the total negative charges are equal. Okay, so a neutral compound has been formed. So similarly, if somewhere 3 and 3 are coming, you need not to mention 3 and 3. Simply you will be mentioning the symbols, and that is going to represent the compound. And then I shifted myself to the polyatomic ions, where if the polyatomic ion is going to get 1 from this side, cation side, you need not to put any bracket. If the number is more than 1, then the polyatomic ion has to be kept inside the bracket, and then the number has to be written in the form of subscript. Then only you will be getting the formula of the compound. Like magnesium phosphate is one of the example which I have given. In the similar way, you can take one more example, calcium bicarbonate, or we call it calcium hydrogen carbonate. So calcium is with 2 valency and bicarbonate is written as HCO3 with 1 negative charge. Okay, so this 2 is going to be with bicarbonate and 1 is going to be this side. So calcium will be written as this, as 1 is never mentioned. Bicarbonate, as it has to be surrounded by 2, so it will be kept inside the bracket, and 2 will be mentioned here. So the formula for the calcium bicarbonate, CaHCO3 whole twice. Till now I told you how to write down the formulae of the ionic compound. Now I am shifting you people to write down the formula of covalent bonded compounds. Okay, how to write down the formula of these compounds. Whenever you will be coming across with these type of compounds, you will definitely be finding the words di, tri, mono, tetra, penta, hexa. These type of words you will be finding. Okay, let me tell you the writing down of these. Carbon, let's take one example, carbon monoxide. So how to write them? Carbon monoxide. This oxide and mono. Oxide is mono, that means it is only 1. So we will be writing carbon monoxide, means it is 1. And 1 is not written anywhere, so it is CO. If it is carbon dioxide, okay, so it is written as carbon dioxide, that means oxide, that means oxygen is 2, dioxide. That 2 will be written in the form of subscript. So whichever element is mentioned towards the end, and before that if any number is written, that number has to be written in the form of subscript. Let's say diphosphorus pentaoxide. Okay, in that case phosphorus di, penta. Penta means 5. And what is penta? That is oxide. Oxide is 5 times. And if any single atom is present in the beginning, mono word is never written there. Like we never say it is monocarbon dioxide. It is simply carbon dioxide. That means it is understood that the carbon which is taken initially is only 1. Here I have written carbon monoxide. That means understood that carbon is only 1 which has been taken. In the similar way, let's take the example of carbon tetrachloride. Okay, so carbon is single, chloride, Cl and tetra. Tetra means 4. So this way the covalent bonded compounds are being written. Okay, let me give you one more example, like say sulfur trioxide. So that means sulfur, nothing is written, it is single. Oxide means how many oxide? 3. So SO3 is the formula of this compound. So how to write down the ionic compound and covalent bonded compound? If you are have understood this concept, then let me tell you the binary compounds which are existing in the ionic as well as the covalent bonded compound. So what does this mean? Binary compound. Binary compound, those which are made up of only two different kind of atoms. Okay, they are known as binary compounds. Let's take H2O. It is made up of hydrogen and oxygen, so it is binary compound. Let's take the example of CCl4. This is carbon tetrachloride. This is also made up of carbon and chlorine, so it is binary compound. CO2, carbon and oxygen. Only two different type of atoms are combined together. This is binary compound. Don't confuse yourself with binary compounds and these atomicity. Atomicity is the number of atoms which are constituting that particular compound. Like if I say this particular molecule, like here 2 plus 1 is 3. That is the atomicity. But if I talk about the binary compound, that means two different kind of atoms are present inside that or in the formation of that compound. That's it. In this case, oxygen and carbon are participating. In this way, you will find across many binary compounds in the covalent bonded as well as the ionic compound, like NaCl. This is an ionic compound. This is made up of only sodium and chlorine. Silver chloride. It is silver and chlorine. Silver bromide. It is made up of silver and bromine. That means two different kind of atoms when they are present in these type of compounds, so we can call them the binary compounds. Now let's shift ourselves to the next topic, that is how to find out the molecular and the formula unit masses of the compound. Now my smart children must be knowing what are the molecular compounds and which are the these ionic compounds. If I talk about the formula unit mass, that means we are very specifically finding the masses of the ionic compounds. If I talk about the molecular masses, that means I am very much concerned about the covalent bonded compound where no charges have been included in the formation of the compound. Okay, as we took carbon dioxide, carbon tetrachloride, carbon monoxide, carbon disulfide, sulfur dioxide, sulfur trioxide, nitrogen dioxide, where di, tri, mono, these type of words are generally being mentioned. But many other are there where you will not be finding, but as you will be going ahead in the higher classes, you will come to know which compounds are formed under which particular process, by the sharing of or by the loss or gain of the electron. So, what is the meaning of this molecular mass? You know, these atoms are so very tiny and insignificant. To find the mass of one particular atom, that is very tedious task. In the similar way, if I talk about one particular molecule, they are very small. Okay, but they are the chemical combination of many of the atoms together. They are undoubtedly very insignificant to us. Now look, if I say I have taken a molecule H2O and I want to find out the mass of this particular molecule. So if I know the mass of hydrogen and of oxygen and I add the masses of two atoms of hydrogen and one atom of oxygen, definitely I am going to get the mass of one molecule of water. So what is molecular mass? That means adding the mass of all the atoms which are present in one molecule of a compound, we get the molecular mass. So molecular mass of the compound is sum of the atomic masses which are present in that particular molecule. They are going to give us the molecular mass. Now look, hydrogen is having the mass of 1, oxygen is having the mass of 16. Okay, 1U and 16U. Okay, now you add in the mass. You know there are 2 atoms of hydrogen and 1 atom of oxygen is participating. So that means 1U plus 1U plus 16U. Okay, then you will be getting 18U. That means it is the molecular mass of this compound. So if I go in another way, it is 1 into 2 plus 16. That means 2 plus 16. That is going to be 18U. That is the mass, molecular mass of this water compound. In the similar way, you can go for sulfuric acid. This is H2SO4. Here hydrogen, you know the mass of hydrogen 1U, unified mass. Sulfur is 32U, oxygen is 16. So that means now how many atoms of hydrogen? 2 atoms of hydrogen, 1 atom of sulfur and 4 atoms of oxygen are participating. That means 2 into 1 plus 1 into 32 plus 4 into 16. It is going to be 98U. That means the molecular mass of this sulfuric acid is 98U. So very easy to find out the molecular masses, but for your convenience you should at least learn the molecular masses of first 20 elements which are there in the periodic table, so that you never face the problem while finding out the molecular masses of these compounds. Atomic masses you should learn at least of first 20 elements up to class 10. Okay, so start learning, and if you can go beyond, that will be much better. Now let's go to the formula unit mass, where you have to add in all the masses of, you have to add in the masses of all the atoms which are constituting one formula unit of a compound. Like if I say I have taken magnesium chloride. So this is compound magnesium chloride. If I take its one formula unit, that is magnesium chloride only. So that means it is made up of 1 atom of magnesium and 2 atoms of chlorine. So magnesium is having the mass of 24U and chlorine is having the mass of 35.5U. So let's take now this magnesium 24 plus 2, and you have to multiply it by 35.5. This 2 which is written here is telling you about the number of chlorine atoms which are participating in the formation of this formula unit. Okay, so this 1 atom is having 35.5U mass and the 2 atoms will be having 71. So 24 plus 71, that means you will be getting 95U, the mass of 7 plus 2, 9. 95U, the mass of this particular formula unit of that particular compound, that is magnesium chloride. In the similar way, many can be asked you people there in the exam, very simple and the complicated one also. Let me give you one more example of calcium hydrogen oxide, hydrogen carbonate, calcium hydrogen carbonate. So this 2 which is written with the polyatomic ion, this 2 is meant for hydrogen also, this 2 is meant for this carbon also, and this 2 is meant for this oxygen also. Oxygen inside is always already in the 3 form. So 3 into 2. That means 2 is going to multiply with all the elements which are present inside the polyatomic ion. So here that means 1 atom of calcium, 2 atoms of hydrogen, 2 atoms of carbon and 6 atoms of oxygen are participating in this one particular formula unit. Or you can say 1 atom of calcium plus 2 hydrogen plus carbon plus 3 oxygen. You can write down this way also. So then you have to put the value. Calcium is 40, hydrogen is 1U, carbon is 12U, oxygen is 16. So let's go ahead. I am taking the first one, calcium 40, hydrogen 2 into 1, then carbon 2 into 12, then is 6 into 16. Then you solve it and you will be getting the answer to this particular formula unit of a compound. I hope you all must have understood what I wanted to convey you people through this video. So go through at least 2 or 3 times so that to have the better clarity of all the concepts, and moreover should be watched carefully so that next time when we are going to start the whole concept, you are understanding it in a better way. Only then you can go ahead with the whole concept once you are clear with all these particular topic. This video and the previous video also. So keep studying hard, stay home, stay safe.